Hey guys, welcome to Healthy Life Designing. Today we are talking to Donna Cunningham. She is with the Fairfield Medical Center. She is in charge of the Tobacco Cessation Program. She will be talking to us today about things that you can look for with your youngsters, with smoking, vaping in particular, as well as her personal journey and experience with her parents' journey as smokers, and some other tips and tools that you can use to start cutting the habit on your own. So please stick around. As soon as we come back, Donna will be joining us.
Hi, I'm Amanda Wattenberg, Regional Director at Ohio Guidestone. Do you or does someone you know have a substance abuse disorder? Have you been thinking about getting help, but don't know where to start? It takes a lot of courage to ask for help, but it's the most important step you can take. If you think you know everything that's available in Fairfield County, think again. Like other chronic diseases, addiction can be managed successfully. Treatment enables people to counteract addiction's powerful, disruptive effects on the brain's behavior and regain control of their lives. Even if it takes multiple attempts, treatment does work and people do recover from addiction every day. So keep trying because your life matters. You matter, and we're here to help. Call 211 and ask for the treatment resources available right here in Fairfield County.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Hey guys, we are back. This is Healthy Life Designing. We're talking to Donna Cunningham today from the Fairfield Medical Center, and we are talking about smoking, nicotine, all of that good stuff, and how to kick the habit. Thank you so much, Donna, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's really nice that we could finally nail down this time because you and I had talked so many different times back and forth, but with everybody playing catch up this year, I think that it's just safe to say that you never know week to week what's going to happen.
No, you really don't. We've had to be very accommodating to a lot of different changes this year.
Yes. Well, and you yourself have experienced a lot of different changes because you have a little bit of a story that personally affected you with your parents both being smokers.
Absolutely, yes. Growing up, both of my parents were smokers. And both of them developed health conditions from it. My father has COPD. He's 85 years old now. He has to use oxygen when he's doing any kind of activities. My mother, who passed away about a year and a half ago, also had COPD and had interstitial lung disease or pulmonary fibrosis. And before she passed, she needed to use oxygen 24/7, up to 6 to 8 liters per minute with any kind of activity, which is quite a lot of oxygen at a time. A tank would only last her for about an hour and a half when we would go someplace. So it really affected her quality of life because she always was a very, very social person, and trying to go out and do any kind of activities, planning for it, making sure we had plenty of oxygen with us, it took quite a toll on her. And
Oh my gosh.
having seen that, it has really inspired me to try to help individuals kick the smoking habit before so much damage has been done to their lungs that it impacts their quality of life.
Well, I can only imagine. I mean, and then just trying to get through a day, changing the tank, trying to make sure that she's comfortable. I mean, that had to put on, I mean, a ton of stress.
It did. And she always worried so much about running out of oxygen when we would
Oh,
go someplace.
oh my
Um,
goodness.
yes. So it really did have quite an impact on her.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that. And how old was she again?
She was 78 at the time she passed.
Oh my gosh. And then when was she diagnosed with the COPD?
She was diagnosed probably about 4 years before that, and went on oxygen, um, I would say about 3 years before she passed.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then so how many years was she a smoker?
Um, she was probably a smoker for about 30 years.
Okay. Wow. I guess, well, then that leads me to my next question. Um, how long does it take, do you know, for your lungs to start to heal from the years of smoking?
And that's a very good question. It depends on the type of damage that you're talking about. When we're talking about lung cancer, every year out from smoking decreases your risk of developing lung cancer until about 15 years out, and then your risk is about that of a non-smoker. When it comes to the damage done to the alveoli, the little air sacs in the lungs, that never heals. We're
Mm,
born with more lung tissue than what we actually need. And throughout the normal aging process, we lose some. But when you smoke, you lose additional. So I heard a pulmonologist one time compare it to like buying a new car. When you buy a new car, you expect to put so many miles per year on it, about 10
mhm.
to 12,000. With your lungs, you expect to put, let's say, 10 to 12,000 miles on your lungs. But when you smoke, you're putting 15 to 20,000 on it. So when you hit a certain age, if you're comparing it back to the mileage on a car, you've got more miles than what you should have on it, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and funny thing, I was a smoker when I was really young, underage. I tell my kids now, they don't believe me because I'm health and fitness are such a part, like huge part of my life and everyday living that they said, "Oh, mom, stop. You're lying." But I mean, I have the proof, but if I look back to those days, and it was only a handful of years, thankfully, but I remember feeling the difference in my energy and how my skin felt. And even though I was really young, I mean, I was still had a lot of body and self awareness to know how I was starting to feel in my body.
Mhm.
But I've known people that have smoked 40 years and they look a lot older than they really are.
Yes, that's true for a lot of individuals. And there's other things that play into the damage that's done to your body besides just the smoking.
Mhm.
And I don't want anyone to think that, oh, well, I've smoked for 70 years. What's the point in quitting now if I can't
Right,
repair the damage?
right.
The sooner someone quits, the longer they have before the possible onset of the symptoms associated with that damage. So
Right.
someone could smoke for 30, 40 years and may not experience any of the symptoms of COPD before they die. Others, depending on their lifespan, other factors may see that. But the sooner you quit, the longer you would have before those symptoms would appear if they're going to.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Well, and speaking of quitting, I guess that could be our next thing to talk about is how long does it take for the average smoker to quit?
That varies by person.
Hmm.
On average, most people take between 5 to 7 serious quit attempts to quit.
Yes. Yes.
It varies by person. There's those individuals that, of course, can be very fortunate and quit the first time. And then there's others that it may take 20 times. But on average, it can take between 5 to 7 serious quit attempts. And I always encourage people not to get discouraged if they have quit in the past and then had a relapse.
Hmm.
Think of it as a dress rehearsal. What, and look back, what things went right with this, what went wrong, and then you can reflect on your past quit attempts and use it to build for your next quit attempt.
Yes, I like that. And what about quitting cold turkey?
Everybody, again, is different in what works best for them, but
Hmm.
studies have shown that quitting cold turkey, not tapering, works more often for people than those that are trying to taper. Now, when I say cold turkey, I'm not referring to not using medication. I'm referring to just putting the cigarettes down and not smoking anymore versus tapering back on the cigarettes. Um,
Okay.
Medications can make a big difference. Um, the studies have indicated that generally doing a combination of medication use and counseling gives the best chance of success for quit.
Nice. I think that's a great place for us to take a quick break right here. And when we come back, I'm going to have a few more questions with Donna and try to figure out some better ways to help you manage your addiction with nicotine. So stick around, we'll be right back.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area where the fountain is and the memorials and the flags and all the stuff. And we looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Hey guys, we're back. This is Healthy Life Designing. We have been talking to Donna Cunningham from the Fairfield Medical Center in Lancaster, Ohio, about smoking, her personal journey with it. And now we're on to a few of the other things that nicotine has played out in our society. And so the next thing that I wanted to talk about that I think is, and this is my opinion, you're the expert, but I feel that vaping is in our schools and that it's crazy. I've got boys that are anywhere from 12 years old to 20, and I've got the youngest one that, they share with me a lot of information, and that there's kids their age that are doing it. And my mind is just blown, and I'm thinking, oh, seriously, that can't even be, but it is.
Absolutely, yes. Unfortunately, there have been so many young adults, adolescents, school-age kids who would never have dreamed of picking up a cigarette are picking up the Juuls or the vapes, the electronic cigarettes. Unfortunately, there's been marketing to that age group, especially with the flavors, the social influencers, so on and so forth. And they have started vaping, a lot of them because of the cool flavors associated with it. And they have the thought that it's safe, that it's not dangerous. And unfortunately, that's just not true. I don't think we fully understand all the dangers that's associated with it because it is so new. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to find out more as time goes on. I mean, you think about the many decades that we had cigarettes before we had the first Surgeon General warning about it. Find out more and more damage, but we know that it's not harmless. There are cancer-causing agents that are in the aerosol. It's not the harmless water vapor that has been made out to be. Is it safer than cigarettes? Potentially, but safer does not equal safe. And the other thing to think about is that it is a start of a nicotine addiction, and that those that use electronic devices, the vaping, the Juuls, they are 7 times more likely to begin smoking traditional combustible cigarettes.
Okay, and that leads me to another question, because I wonder how much more addictive. So say I smoked a cigarette one day and decided to vape another day. Are you just as likely to get hooked to one as you are the other?
Basically, yes, because they're both nicotine based, and it's the nicotine that you're addicted to. So yes, they have the potential for addiction just like the combustible cigarettes do.
Okay, so now when you smoke a cigarette and you vape, does one enter your, is it your bloodstream, right?
They both do, because they both go into the lungs and enter the bloodstream through the lungs.
Okay. Wow. See, that blows my mind. So are you finding the younger people are doing the vaping more than they would the actual cigarette, because you can hide it and stash it and flavors and all of these other
Absolutely.
things. But there's also another thing that I've discovered, that it's probably been out for a lot longer, but because I'm not a user, I don't know. But there's dip that you can buy in the can, but now there's also these little tiny pouches that people just stick in their cheek.
Right. Yes. And those are a newer thing also. And being newer, they haven't been hit with all the FDA regulation. And I think that's coming. I hope it's coming. Unfortunately, you even see it advertised on TV, which you cannot advertise cigarettes on TV. So I'm hoping that'll be a change in the future. But again, it's a way of putting nicotine in the body, and the nicotine is what we become addicted to. And nicotine addiction, especially for teenagers, is so dangerous because their brains are still forming, and the nicotine affects their developing brains and can have a long-term impact on concentration, decision making, memory, parts of the brain that are still developing.
Right. What are some, do they have, I know there's always little trendy different names that are out there for the vapes and the jewels. Is there things that parents can watch for, or if they hear kids somewhere talking and they spitting out these words that sound foreign to them, I'm sure it's their code way of talking about nicotine.
Yes, there are a lot of different words that they use. A few, you mentioned some of the vapes, the Joel. The Joel room is the bathroom now. So that terminology changes a lot. So I always suggest that as parents, get on the internet every once in a while and just do a search every now and then. What are the terms that kids are using when it comes to discussing these things? And also I encourage you parents to also look for pictures of the different devices, because they can be so commonly misidentified as a common everyday item. Many of the jewels just look like a thumb drive, and they will even plug into the computer.
Oh, wow. That is crazy. But I know there's a few things that have come out recently, and that's that I know that some of it's been pulled from shelves at certain stores, which, kind of prevents them from having such easy access to it.
Yes, they have pulled some of it from the stores. It's not supposed to be sold to anyone under 21. Some of the flavored devices have been pulled, but they can still get the flavored refillable juices. And they can also get it all online. And pretty much all they have to do is just click, yes, I'm over 21. And there's no real way online to verify that they are.
Right. Do you know what is in the actual juice that they use?
There's lots of different substances in it, but there is nicotine in all of them in the jewels.
Okay. Well, if people are struggling in these areas of difficulty, is there any tips that you could share? And then we'll get to the program that you offer as well. But while these people could be at home watching, or they may know someone, could you share a few tips in how they could start on the journey of cutting the habit?
Well, the first is to review the reasons of why they want to quit. Make sure that they are aware of what their reasons are, because they can use that when they are feeling triggered and they are wanting to pick either the electronic device or the cigarette back up. So keeping those reasons close to them, I encourage a lot of times just to write them down so they can refer back to it. Picking the date for their quit, looking at the calendar. I usually recommend sometime within the next month. If you put it too far out, it's easy to keep pushing that date off.
Yes.
And then, yeah, and then I recommend writing it on the calendar as a way of being accountable, because it's very easy if you don't write it down to be like, to accidentally forget that that's your quit day and to move it off again. So writing it down makes you a little bit more accountable. Letting people know that you're going to be quitting so that they can be supportive of you. Letting them know that, hey, I may be grumpy because I'm withdrawing, cut me some slack. That can be helpful also. Asking people to check in with you, keep you distracted that day. Figuring out what triggers are. A lot of times I advise somebody to really track their use or their smoking for a few days before their quit date, and to track who they're with, what situations they're in, how are they feeling? Are they hungry? Are they stressed? Are they tired? Are they angry? Are they bored? What are the triggers? And once those triggers are identified, then they can understand what circumstances they're going to be more at risk for use, and they can develop a plan to overcome that. And then they can develop plans such as thinking, okay, when I'm triggered or I'm having a craving, I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to count backwards from 100. I'm going to do deep breathing exercises. I'm going to text my friend and ask them to send me pictures of cute puppies to distract me. So let them figure out what would work for them as something to distract them or move them away from that trigger right then.
Oh, yes. I love that. And I had another thing pop up in my mind, and we have just a couple minutes left. I want to get your thoughts on this. The nicotine gum that people use to start to quit. What is your take on that?
I think it's a wonderful device that can help a lot of people. The nicotine gum does not have near the danger of cigarettes, and it can be tapered down for use. So it's a good way to get through the physical withdrawal, the physical cravings while you're quitting. So I recommend it a lot for a lot of people. I always encourage people to make sure that they're using it correctly, though, because I think gum is a little bit of a misnomer, because when we think gum, we think pop it in our mouth and chew, chew, chew. And that can actually cause a lot of stomach upset or acid reflux when someone does that. They should actually just chew it a couple times and then park it in the gum line. And then when the sensation that they get from the gum goes away, to chew it a couple more times and then park it again. So making sure that they're using it correctly so they get the best benefit from it.
Okay, wow, that is so interesting. If you could share your information of the program that you offer over there at the hospital, that would be fantastic.
Okay. It is Fairfield Medical Center Tobacco Cessation Program. I am located in the First Medical Occupational Health Building, which is across from Target on River Valley Boulevard. The number for the office is 740-689-4404. You can contact me at that number, or you can reach out to me by email at tobaccocessation@fmchealth.org.
Okay, and how long are the average programs?
The program can be tailored to the individual. I can see people in the office for individual counseling sessions. With the COVID protocols, I've also been doing a lot of counseling over the phone, so people do not have to come into the office. I also offer a group counseling program, which is a 6-week program. It meets twice a week for those 6 weeks, 1 hour each session, usually on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. And we cover a wide variety of topics. I usually try to give some kind of little information session for each session. And then we keep it open to discuss things in the group. So whatever a concern is at that point for someone, we can discuss.
Okay, and then what is the price range for your program?
That's a very good question. It's covered by most insurances.
Okay.
So any visit to me in the office or by phone is billed just like a regular office visit to the insurance. So whatever the copays and deductibles would normally be for a regular office visit would apply to that. For the group counseling sessions, again, most of those are covered by insurance, but if they're not, They're $15 per session, which for the 12 sessions is $180. And if someone smokes a pack of cigarettes a day, they're spending about that in a month time on cigarettes.
Yes, that was going to be my next thing. And I say that with my clients too. Well, if you sit down and you figure out how many packs you go through a week and add that up in 1 month, that could be a car payment or
Absolutely,
groceries,
yes.
gas.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really happy that we got to finally connect face to face, and I'm grateful that we're able to get this on, because I think that so many people, you've picked up a lot of different habits. Being in this past year, we've been at home, we've been stressed, anxiety, and I can definitely think, or I can definitely say that I know that people have picked up a lot of bad habits too. So hopefully they can reach out to you, contact the hospital, and just contact Donna directly, and she will get you connected and set up with what you need.
All right, thank you for having me so much.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that is all we have time today. If you're struggling with an addiction to nicotine, please reach out to Donna Cunningham. She's such a sweet woman, and she really just wants to help you, set you up with the right tools that you need to put you in the right direction to better your health. And until next time, we will see you soon.